Now, meanwhile, in just the first 3 months of 2016, states across the country introduced more than 400 restrictions on abortion. 11 states have defunded Planned Parenthood in the last year, cutting some women off from their only health care provider. And of course, on a national level, Republicans in Congress have been willing to shut down the entire federal government over Planned Parenthood funding. Have you ever noticed that the same politicians who are against sex education, birth control, and safe and legal abortion are also against policies that would make it easier to raise a child, like paid family leave? They are for limited government everywhere, except when it comes to interfering with women's choices and rights. Well, I'm here today to tell you we need to be just as determined as they are. We need to defend Planned Parenthood against partisan attacks. If right-wing politicians actually cared as much about protecting women's health as they say they do, they'd join me in calling for more federal funding for Planned Parenthood. We also need to fight back against the erosion of reproductive rights at the federal, state, and local levels, ensure that patients and staff can safely walk into health centers without harassment or violence. We need to stand up for access to affordable contraception without interference from politicians or employers. And let's invest in long-acting reversible contraceptives so every woman can choose the method that is best for her. Let's strengthen and improve the Affordable Care Act, which covers 20 million Americans and saves women millions of dollars through no copay preventive care. And let's take action to stop the spread of the Zika virus, which threatens the health of children and pregnant women. Let's repeal laws like the Hyde Amendment that make it nearly impossible for low-income women, disproportionately women of color, to exercise their full reproductive rights. And it is worth saying, again, defending women's health means defending access to abortion, not just in theory, but in reality. We know that restricting access doesn't make women less likely to end a pregnancy. It just makes abortion less safe. And that then threatens women's lives. For too long, issues like these have been dismissed by many as women's issues, as though that somehow makes them less worthy, secondary. Well, yes, these are women's issues. They're also family issues. They're economic issues. They're justice issues. They're fundamental to our country and our future. And beyond these specific issues, we need to keep working to support women and families in other ways by getting incomes rising, including the minimum wage, which disproportionately affects women. We need to finally guarantee equal pay for women's work. We need to pass comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship that keeps families together. And we need to break down all the barriers of discrimination and systemic racism that hold too many Americans back. And we need to come together to stop the epidemic of gun violence that is stalking our country. No parent should live in fear that their child will be hurt or killed by gun violence. 33,000 Americans are killed every year. I've met so many mothers on this campaign who have lost their own children. We owe it to them to protect our kids no matter what zip code they live in. And that is going to require standing up to the gun lobby and making this a voting issue. You know, all the issues that we're talking about today are connected. They intersect. And that's why I'm grateful to the reproductive justice leaders in this room and across America. Because you know that all these issues go straight to that fundamental question, whether we believe women and families of all races and backgrounds and income levels deserve an equal shot in life. Now, that's what I believe, and you won't be surprised to hear Donald Trump believes something very different. He actually thinks guaranteeing paid family leave would leave America less competitive. He says if women want equal pay, we should just, and this is a quote, do as good a job as men, as if we weren't already. He wants to appoint justices who would overturn Roe v. Wade. He, of course, wants to defund Planned Parenthood. And he wants to go after so many of the fundamental rights we have, including safe and legal abortions. And he actually said women should be punished for having abortions. Now, once he said that, there was an outcry, as there should have been. And he tried to walk back his comments. He's doing that a lot lately. But anyone who would so casually agree to the idea of punishing women like it was nothing to him, the most obvious thing in the world, that's someone who doesn't hold women in high regard. Because if he did, he would trust women to make the right decisions for ourselves. But don't worry, Donald assures us that as president, he'll be, and I quote again, the best for women. Anyone who wants to defund Planned Parenthood and wipe out safe, legal abortion has no idea what's best for women. And after all, this is a man who has called women pigs, dogs, and disgusting animals. Kind of hard to imagine counting on him to respect our fundamental rights. When he says pregnant women are an inconvenience to their employer, what does that say about how he values women, our work, our contributions? We're in the middle of a concerted, persistent assault on women's health across our country. And we have to ask ourselves, and you have to ask everyone you come in contact with, do we want to put our health, our lives, our futures in Donald Trump's hands? Now, these questions are not hypothetical. Every woman and everyone who cares about women will answer them when they vote in November. Now, when I talk like this, Donald Trump likes to say, I'm playing the woman card. And I like to say, if fighting for equal pay, Planned Parenthood, and the ability to make our own health decisions is playing the woman card, then deal me in. my friends, I come to this issue, of course, as a woman, a mother and a grandmother now, but I also come to it as a former First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State. And in those roles, I traveled to parts of the world where girls are married off as soon as they are old enough to bear children, places where the denial of family planning consigns women to lives of hardship. I visited countries where governments have strictly regulated women's reproduction, either forcing women to have abortions or forcing women to get pregnant and give birth. Everything I have seen has convinced me that life is freer, fairer, healthier, safer, and far more humane when women are empowered to make their own reproductive health decisions. And everything I've heard from Donald Trump often seems to echo other leaders who have a very different view of women. The late, great Maya Angelou said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." Donald Trump has shown us who he is, and we sure should believe him. And it's not just on reproductive rights. Donald Trump would take us in the wrong direction on so many issues we care about: economic justice, workers' rights, civil rights, human rights, the environment. All of that is on the line in this election. When Donald Trump says a distinguished judge born in Indiana can't do his job because of his Mexican heritage, or mocks a reporter with disabilities, or denigrates Muslims and immigrants, it goes against everything we stand for. He does not see all Americans as Americans. So this election isn't about the same old fights between Democrats and Republicans. They'll be there, don't worry. But this election is profoundly different. It is about who we are as a nation. It's about millions of Americans coming together to say, we are better than this. So here's my promise to you today. I will be your partner in this election and over the long haul. Together, we're taking on the attacks, and together we will come out stronger, just like Planned Parenthood has time and again. And together, we're going to unify our country, stop Donald Trump, and fight for an America where we lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. We are not going to just break that highest and hardest glass ceiling. We're going to break down all the barriers that hold women and families back, because you know we do believe we're stronger when every family in every community knows they're not on their own. We are stronger together, and we're going to make history together in November. Thank you all so much.
Good afternoon to you. I'm Peter Alexander here in Washington, D.C.